Adaeze got her dream job, assistant professor at University of Lagos. 3-year contract. Everything she's worked for. One problem, it means leaving Seoul. Leaving Tae-jun, leaving the family who needs him. So they made a plan, he'd go with her. Step down from his brother's company. Follow her to Lagos. Choose love over duty. 14 days to decide if courage was enough to bridge 7,000 kilometers. He actually did it. Resigned as CEO of Kim Corporation. Told his father he's not Min-jun and never will be. Said goodbye to the children who need him. Boarded a plane to Lagos with the woman he loves. They made it 1 week. 7 days in the chaos of Lagos, the heat, the traffic, the overwhelming reality of building a life in a foreign city. And then everything started falling apart. Company Crisis demands he return to Seoul immediately. His father has a heart attack, real, but also manipulation to get him back. The Lagos program funding gets slashed. 3 years becomes 1 year, maybe less. Adaeze discovers she's pregnant, terrible timing, unstable program, and he's about to leave. Then the monastery calls. His ordination was never formally dissolved. He's technically still a monk. Someone filed a complaint. There's a hearing in 2 weeks. And her predatory graduate advisor just showed up in Lagos asking about her. What happens when you choose love, and everything goes wrong at once? When you've been in Lagos 1 week and already have 8 simultaneous crises. When a baby is coming, funding is collapsing, his father is using a heart attack as leverage, and they're both questioning if this was the biggest mistake of their lives. Stay till the end for the moment where they have to choose. Again, whether love is worth the impossible cost. Welcome to Afro-K Dark Diaries TV family. This is The Monk's Vow Part 3. Comment stay, if he should stay in Lagos with pregnant Adaeze. Comment go, if he should return to Seoul for his dying father. Comment impossible, if you have no idea how they survived this. Like if you're devastated by how fast everything fell apart. Subscribe because Part 4 is about whether love can survive when tested beyond human limits. When choosing each other means losing everything else. Let's go. They had 14 days to decide. 14 days for Adaeze to accept or decline the Lagos position. 14 days to figure out if love could survive 7,000 kilometers. 14 days to choose between her dream and their relationship. Except that's not how Tae-jun saw it. It's not your dream or our relationship, he said the morning after the dinner party revelation. They were in his room, the early light streaming through windows, both still in yesterday's clothes because neither had slept. Those aren't opposites. They're both part of your life. Part of our life now. Tae-jun, be realistic. I can't teach at a university in Lagos while living in Seoul. And you can't, she stopped. Can't what? Can't just leave. You have the company. The children. Sujin. Your family. Your entire life is here. My life is wherever you are, he said simply. She pulled away from him, pacing his sparse room. Don't do that. Don't make grand romantic statements when we need to think practically. I am thinking practically. What's impractical about me coming to Lagos with you? Everything. She whirled to face him. You'd leave your family? Your responsibilities? The company your brother built? For what? To follow me to a country you've never been to, a culture you don't know, a life you haven't chosen. I'd be choosing you. That's the point. No, the point is that I won't let you sacrifice everything for me and then resent me in 5 years when you realize what you gave up. The words hung between them, sharp and painful. Is that what you think? Tae-jun asked quietly. That I'd resent you? I think, her voice broke. I think relationships are complicated. I think love doesn't conquer practical realities. I think 2 months of dating isn't enough foundation to make life-altering decisions. Then what do you suggest? I don't know. She collapsed onto his mat, head in her hands. That's the problem. I don't have an answer. For the first time in my life, I don't know what to do. Tae-jun sat beside her, not touching, giving her space. Then let's figure it out together. Systematically. Like we're solving a problem, not having a fight. How very monk-like of you. Former monk. And yes, 10 years of meditation taught me that panic doesn't help. Analysis does. He pulled out his phone. Let's make a list. What are the actual obstacles? Despite herself, Adaeze felt some of the panic recede. This she could do, analyze, plan, solve. Okay. Obstacle 1, geography. Lagos and Seoul are 7,000 kilometers apart. Obstacle 2, Tae-jun continued, typing notes. My responsibilities here. The company, the family, the children. Obstacle 3, your lack of experience living outside Korea. You've never been a minority. Never dealt with culture shock. Never. I spent 10 years in a monastery, Adeeze. I can handle unfamiliar environments. A Korean monastery. In Korea. That's different from being the only Asian person in a Nigerian neighborhood. He couldn't argue with that. Okay. Obstacle 4. Uncertainty about whether this is the right choice. Obstacle 5, Adeeze added quietly. The very real possibility that we're moving too fast and this could destroy what we've built. They sat in silence, looking at the list. 5 major obstacles. None of them small. Now solutions, Tae-jun said. For each obstacle. Tae-jun, some problems don't have solutions. Everything has solutions. Some are just more complicated than others. He looked at her. Unless you're saying you don't want to try. That it's easier to just end things now. Of course I want to try. But I also want to be realistic. I've seen long-distance relationships fail. I've seen people make grand gestures and then regret them. I've seen. Her phone rang. The ringtone she'd set for her father, a specific Nigerian gospel song. I have to take this, she said, grateful for the interruption. He doesn't call unless it's important. She answered in Igbo, and Tae-jun watched her expression shift. Surprise, then something more complicated. The conversation lasted 15 minutes, her switching between Igbo and English, her body language moving from tense to thoughtful. When she hung up, she looked at Tae-jun with an expression he couldn't quite read. My father, she said unnecessarily. I told him about the Lagos offer last week. And about us. About the impossible choice. What did he say? He asked me a question. One question. She took a breath. He said, Adeeze, in 5 years, which choice will you regret more, taking the job and losing him, or staying for him and losing the opportunity? And what's your answer? That's the problem. I couldn't answer. Because both sound like regret. Both sound like losing something I can't get back. Tae-jun was quiet for a moment. Then, maybe we're asking the wrong question. What do you mean? We're treating this like a binary choice. Your career or our relationship. Lagos or Seoul. Your dream or us. But what if it's not either/or? What if the question is, how do we honor both? I don't see how. What if I came with you? The words were out, clear and deliberate. Adeeze stared at him like he'd suggested flying to the moon. You can't just, Tae-jun, be serious. I am serious. Completely serious. He moved closer, taking her hands. What if I came to Lagos with you? Worked remotely. The company has international operations anyway. I could oversee the African division. You've never worked remotely. You barely use computers. I'd learn. Ada, I spent 10 years learning ancient Buddhist texts in classical Chinese. I can learn video conferencing. But your family, the children, could video call daily. We could visit every few months. Sujin is stronger now than 6 months ago. The children are resilient. And, he paused, the idea solidifying. And maybe this is exactly what they need. To see that choosing love doesn't mean abandoning responsibility. That you can be present for family even from a distance. Adeeze pulled her hands away, standing, pacing again. This is insane. You're talking about uprooting your entire life. For what? A relationship that's barely 2 months old? What if we get to Lagos and realize we don't work? What if you hate it? What if? What if it's amazing? He interrupted. What if this is exactly what we both need? To build a life that's truly ours, not constrained by family expectations or past choices. What if leaving is the bravest thing I could do? Or the most foolish? Brave and foolish often look the same at the beginning. She stopped pacing, looking at him with an expression caught between hope and terror. You're really serious about this? Completely. But Ada, he stood, crossing to her. I won't do it without your blessing. I won't move to Lagos and have you feel guilty or responsible. This has to be a choice we make together. Both of us choosing both our dreams. My dream is teaching in Lagos. What's yours? He touched her face, gentle and certain. My dream is building a life with you. Wherever that is. Tears slid down her cheeks. That's not a dream. That's just romantic. Can it be both? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore except that I love you and I'm terrified and I don't want to make the wrong choice. Then let's make the right choice. Together. We spend the next 2 weeks researching. Planning. Making sure this is actually viable. We talk to your family in Lagos. We talk to mine in Seoul. We figure out logistics, visas, work permits, housing, all of it. And then we decide. Not on impulse. With full information. And if the answer is that it won't work, then we figure out something else. Long distance. Alternating years. Something. But Ada, he pulled her close. I'm not losing you because we didn't even try to find a solution. She buried her face in his chest, and he held her while she cried, relief and fear and overwhelming love all mixed together. "Okay," she whispered against his shirt. "Okay. We try. We research. We plan. We make this decision with our eyes open. Together," he confirmed. Together. The next 3 days were a blur of research. Tae-jun discovered that moving to Nigeria as a Korean national was complex but possible. Work visa requirements. Residence permits. The fact that he'd technically be entering on a dependent visa initially, which felt strange. He'd always been the provider, never the dependent. "Is that okay?" Adaeze asked when they discovered this detail. "Culturally, I mean. For Korean men. I don't care about cultural expectations. I care about being with you." But privately, he wondered how it would feel. If his sense of identity as provider, as head of family, could survive being the trailing spouse. They researched Lagos, cost of living, neighborhoods, safety considerations. The reports were intimidating. Power outages. Traffic that made Seoul look orderly. Security concerns. A completely different pace and style of life. "It's not like Seoul," Adaeze said carefully, showing him videos of Lagos traffic, the chaotic markets, the intense energy. "It's louder. More intense. Less organized. I can adapt. Can you?" She turned to face him. "Tae-jun, you're the most structured person I know. You meditate at the same time every day. You eat meals on schedule. You organize your closet by color. Lagos is chaos. Beautiful chaos, but chaos. Then maybe I need chaos. Maybe 10 years of rigid structure means I need the opposite." But watching the videos, the gridlock traffic, the crowds, the overwhelming sensory input, he felt the first real flutter of doubt. Could he handle that? Daily. They researched his work situation. Kim Corporation had a small African division, smaller than he'd realized. Under-resourced. Struggling with infrastructure challenges. He could theoretically oversee it from Lagos, but it would mean completely restructuring how he worked. And the board? When he floated the idea tentatively in a meeting, the response was immediate and negative. "You want to work from where?" One board member actually laughed. "Lagos? And manage operations remotely? That's not how this company functions." "It could be," Tae-jun argued. "We have the technology. Other companies aren't Kim Corporation. Your father built this company on personal relationships. Face-to-face dealings. You can't do that from another continent." After the meeting, Tae-jun sat in his office, feeling the weight of reality settling. Maybe this wouldn't work. Maybe he couldn't just transplant his life to Lagos and expect everything to function. Adaeze found him there 2 hours later, staring at his computer screen without seeing it. "Bad meeting?" she asked softly. "The board doesn't support remote work. They think it's..." He searched for diplomatic words. "Inappropriate for a Kim to work from Lagos. Because it's Africa? Because it's anywhere other than Seoul. Because Kim men don't follow their wives' careers. Because," he stopped. "Because it challenges how they think things should be. So we're back to impossible choice. No, we're back to difficult choice. There's a difference." He turned to face her. "I could step down from the company. Let someone else lead. Work as an independent consultant. It would mean less money, less prestige, but it's possible. Tae-jun, you can't abandon your brother's legacy." "My brother is dead, Adaeze." The words came out harsher than intended. "I've been trying to be him for 6 months, and it's killing me. Maybe it's time to admit I'm not Min-jun. I never was. And this company needs someone who actually wants to be here." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Is that what you really want? Or is that what you're telling yourself because you feel trapped?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But I know I want to be with you more than I want to maintain this image of dutiful son. That has to count for something." That evening, they video called her parents in Lagos. Both of them, on a large screen, her mother beaming, her father more reserved. "So you're serious about coming here?" Mr. Okonkwo asked Tae-jun directly. "Yes, sir. Very serious." "Why?" "Because I love your daughter. Because her dream matters as much as mine. Because," he paused, choosing honesty, "because staying in Seoul out of duty is slowly suffocating me. And following Adaeze to Lagos feels like choosing life." Her father studied him through the screen. "You understand Lagos is not Seoul? Not Japan? Not any Asian city." "I'm beginning to understand, yes, sir. You'll be a minority. People will stare. Some will be unkind. Can you handle that?" "I've handled being different my whole life, sir. Just in different ways. I'd rather be different with your daughter than comfortable without her." Her mother interrupted, unable to contain herself longer. "I think it's beautiful. Romantic. A man willing to follow love across the world. Romance doesn't pay bills, her father said dryly. Or handle Lagos traffic. Or adjust to Nigerian heat. But his expression had softened slightly. But courage does. And you seem courageous, if foolish. I'll take foolish if it means I don't lose her. After the call, Adaeze pulled him close. My father likes you. He'd never admit it, but he does. The foolish but courageous thing? That's his highest compliment. What about your mother? My mother would love anyone who makes me happy. She's easy. Adaeze kissed him softly. It's everyone else I'm worried about. Everyone else being? Your family. Have you told them? Actually told them you're considering this? He hadn't. And he needed to. That night, after the children were asleep, Tae-jun went to find Soo-jin. She was in the library, looking through photo albums. Something she did when she was missing Min-jun particularly intensely. Can we talk? He asked from the doorway. Of course. She closed the album, setting it aside. What's wrong? He sat beside her on the couch, gathering courage. Adaeze received a job offer. In Lagos. Her dream position. That's wonderful. Then, seeing his face. It's not wonderful? It means leaving Seoul. Leaving here. Leaving all of you. Oh! Soo-jin absorbed this. So you're ending things? No. I'm considering going with her. Silence. Then, what? I'd go to Lagos. For the 3-year contract. Work remotely. Visit regularly. Video call constantly. Be there for important moments. But my day-to-day life would be in Lagos. With her. Soo-jin stared at him like he'd grown a second head. Tae-jun, you can't be serious. I am. Completely. But the children. They need you. Ji-woo still has nightmares about his father. Hannah barely remembers what her life was like before you came back. You're their stability. And I'd still be there for them. Just differently. Through video calls. Regular visits. Being present even when I'm not physically here. That's not the same and you know it. No, it's not. But it's what we have. Unless you're suggesting I should end things with Adaeze and stay here to be the substitute father? Is that fair to anyone? I'm suggesting. Soo-jin stopped, wrestling with emotions. I'm suggesting that sometimes we don't get to choose what we want. Sometimes responsibility requires sacrifice. Is that what you want to teach the children? That love requires giving up your dreams? That duty means being miserable. I want to teach them that family matters more than romance. And I want to teach them that family can exist across distance. That choosing happiness doesn't mean abandoning love. He took her hand. Soo-jin, I've spent 6 months trying to be Min-jun, trying to fill his shoes. But I can't. I never will. Maybe it's time for all of us to accept that and find a new way forward. A new way that has you 7,000 kilometers away. A new way where I'm actually living instead of just surviving. Before Soo-jin could respond, Tae-jun's phone buzzed. Adeeze's name on the screen. I should take this, he said. Go ahead. He answered. Ada. I need you. Can you come to my hotel? Now. Her voice was strained. What's wrong? Just please. I need you. He looked at Soo-jin. I have to go. Can we finish this conversation later? Go. We'll talk tomorrow. In the taxi to Adeeze's hotel, Tae-jun's mind raced. What was wrong? Had she changed her mind? Decided this was too complicated? He found her in her room, pacing, phone clutched in her hand. What happened? He asked immediately. The Lagos position. There's a complication I didn't mention because I didn't think it mattered, but it does now. She handed him her phone, showing an email. He read it once. Twice. His stomach sinking. It's not a permanent position, he said slowly. It's a 3-year contract. Renewable pending funding and program success. And the funding is uncertain. The department chair just emailed, they're facing budget cuts. The position might only last 2 years. Might not be renewed at all. So you'd go to Lagos for what could be a temporary position. That's the nature of academic hiring. Nothing's permanent until tenure. But Tae-jun, she looked at him. If you're planning to move your whole life to Lagos, uproot everything, restructure your work, and it's only for 2 years? And then we'd have to figure out what's next? That's asking too much. He set down the phone, pulling her close. Then we plan for 2 years. And if it becomes 5, great. If it's only 2, we adapt. But your family, the company, everything you'd be giving up, is giving up, not gave up. Nothing's permanent, Adaeze. This job isn't permanent. My role at the company isn't permanent. I could be voted out tomorrow. Even life isn't permanent, Min-jun taught us that. He pulled back to look at her. So we stop pretending we can control the future, and we just choose each other. For however long we have. That's terrifying. Everything worth having is terrifying. She kissed him then, desperate and grateful. His hands slid into her braids, deepening the kiss. 6 weeks of building tension finally finding release. I need you, she breathed against his mouth. I need to feel close to you. Need to remember why we're doing this impossible thing. Adeeze. His body was already responding, desire flooding through him. Are you sure? I'm sure. Make love to me. Help me believe this will work. He kissed her again, backing her toward the bed. They'd been building to this for days. The tension of impossible decisions, the fear of losing each other, the need for physical confirmation that they were solid even when everything else was uncertain. His hands found the hem of her dress, started to slide it upward. Her phone rang, loud and insistent. They froze. Ignore it, Adeeze gasped. But the ringtone was specific. Her department chair. I have to, it might be about the position. She grabbed the phone. Hello. Yes, this is Adeeze. Tae-jun watched her expression shift as she listened. Hope. Confusion. Concern. I understand. Can I have until tomorrow to respond? Thank you. She hung up, looking shell-shocked. What happened? They want to know if I'll consider a modified offer. Splitting time between Lagos and Seoul. 6 months each location. Building both programs. But, she paused. It would mean more money, more prestige, permanent position instead of contract. A full professorship instead of assistant. That's wonderful. He stopped processing. Wait. 6 months in each place. Yeah, which means we could both be in Seoul half the year. You wouldn't have to completely leave your family. The kids would see you regularly. And I'd get to build both programs, African art studies in Lagos and in Seoul. It's perfect, he finished. Except they need an answer by tomorrow. And I can't accept without knowing if you can actually make Lagos work. If your company will let you restructure. If your family will forgive you for choosing this. They stared at each other, the moment of intimacy broken by logistics and impossible timing. We'll figure it out, Tae-jun said, even though he had no idea how. Together. Tomorrow. We'll make this work. But as he left her hotel that night, his body still humming with frustrated desire, his mind racing with complications, he wondered if wanting something badly enough actually made it possible. Or if some dreams were just too complicated to achieve. 3 days before Adeeze's deadline to respond to the modified Lagos offer, Tae-jun called a family meeting. Not just immediate family this time. The full Kim family. Extended relatives. His father flying in from Switzerland. Aunts, uncles, cousins who rarely gathered except for weddings and funerals. Traditional Korean family dinner. The most formal kind. They're going to hate me, Adeeze said the morning of the dinner, trying on her 5th outfit. Your whole family sitting in judgment. Deciding if I'm worth you abandoning them. You're not abandoning anyone. We're not abandoning anyone. That's not how they'll see it. She settled on a conservative navy dress, modest, respectful, the kind that said, I understand Korean culture, without trying too hard. Your father doesn't even know me. For all he knows, I'm some foreign woman who seduced his son. My father knows about you. I've been telling him for weeks. He knows you're brilliant, that you cataloged our collection, that you've been patient with my learning curve. Tae-jun adjusted his tie. Formal hanbok would have been too much, but a Western suit felt appropriately serious. He knows I love you. Does he know you're planning to leave Korea for me? He's about to find out. The dinner was held at a traditional restaurant Tae-jun's father had reserved. Private room, long low table, cushions instead of chairs. The kind of place where business deals were made and family decisions were formalized. Mrs. Park had helped coordinate, ensuring the food would be impeccable. Japchae, galbi, various banchan, each dish perfect and intimidating in its formality. Tae-jun's father arrived first. Kim Dong-woo was 72, silver-haired, his posture still military straight despite retirement. He wore traditional hanbok, a statement of cultural authority. He greeted Tae-jun with a formal bow, then turned to Adeeze. Ms. Okonkwo, we finally meet in person. Mr. Kim. Adeeze bowed, not too deep, not too shallow, exactly as Tae-jun had taught her. It's an honor. His father studied her with the same assessing gaze he'd once used on business competitors. My son tells me you found provenance records in our family journals that were thought lost. Yes, sir. Your great-grandfather kept meticulous documentation. It's an incredible historical resource. He was a precise man, valued tradition and family above all else. His father's eyes flicked to Tae-jun, the subtext clear, unlike some people. The extended family arrived in waves. Tae-jun's aunt and uncle, his father's older sister and her husband, both traditionalists. 2 cousins who worked at Kim Corporation. An elderly great-aunt who rarely left Busan. Even Minjun's former business mentor, invited because he'd been like family. They greeted Adeeze with varying degrees of warmth. The older generation was politely cool. The younger generation more curious than hostile. But everyone was assessing, measuring, trying to understand why this woman was important enough to warrant such a gathering. Ji-woo and Hannah provided the only uncomplicated warmth, running to Adeeze immediately. "You're wearing the pretty blue dress," Hannah announced. "Like the ocean. And you look beautiful," Adeeze said, crouching to fix Hannah's ribbon. "Did Halmiani do your hair?" "Yama did it. She said today is important." "Why is it important?" Soo-jin appeared, gently steering the children away. "Come on, let's find our seats. Let Uncle talk to the grown-ups." The seating arrangement was deliberately formal. Tae-jun's father at the head of the table. Tae-jun and Adeeze on his right. Extended family arranged by age and importance. Even the cushions had been arranged to communicate hierarchy. The meal began with practiced formality. Conversation in Korean, about the company, the economy, family obligations. Adeeze followed as best she could, her Korean good enough to understand the main points but not nuance. She stayed quiet, participating only when directly addressed, finding the impossible balance between being present and not overstepping. Tae-jun watched her navigate it with grace, answering questions when asked, deferring to elders, showing respect without disappearing. Midway through the meal, his father set down his chopsticks, the signal that serious discussion would begin. "Tae-jun tells me you've been offered a position in Lagos," he said, switching to English so Adeeze could fully participate. The table went silent. "Yes, sir," Adeeze said carefully. "A professorship at the University of Lagos. Teaching African and Asian art history. A modified offer, I understand. Splitting time between Lagos and Seoul." "Yes, sir. 6 months in each location. Building programs in both cities." "And you've accepted this position?" "Not yet, sir. I have until tomorrow to decide." Tae-jun's father turned to him. "And you? What do you plan to do?" This was it. The moment of truth. "I plan to go with her," Tae-jun said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "The first 6 months in Lagos, working remotely for the company. Then 6 months here when Adeeze teaches in Seoul. Alternating." His aunt made a small noise of shock. His great-aunt actually gasped. "You would leave Korea?" his father said, his tone carefully neutral. "Your family? Your responsibilities?" "I wouldn't be leaving. I'd be working from a different location. Maintaining responsibilities through video conferencing and regular visits. That's not how Kim Corporation operates. You know this. Then Kim Corporation needs to adapt. Other companies work internationally. We could too." His father's business mentor spoke up. "Tae-jun, be realistic. You can't manage a Korean company from Africa. The time zones alone are manageable. It's 8 hours difference. I could work Nigerian mornings, which would be Korean afternoons and evenings. Take calls, review documents, make decisions." "But the personal relationships," his uncle interjected. "Korean business is built on face-to-face meetings. Golf outings. Dinners. You can't do that from Lagos." "No, I can't. Which is why I've been considering stepping down from active leadership. Becoming an advisor rather than CEO. Letting someone else take over day-to-day operations." The table erupted. "Stepping down? Abandoning your brother's legacy? After everything he built?" Tae-jun's father held up a hand, silencing everyone. "You would give up the company? For a woman you've known 3 months. "I would give up a role that's killing me," Tae-jun corrected. "For a life that actually feels worth living. And it's not a woman. It's the woman I love. The woman I want to marry. The woman whose career matters as much as mine." "Minjun would never have left," his father said quietly. The words hung in the air. Ji-woo, sensing tension, pressed closer to Soo-jin. "No," Tae-jun agreed. "Minjun wouldn't have. Because his life was here, completely. The company was his passion. Seoul was his home. This family was his whole world. But father," he met his father's eyes directly. "I'm not Minjun. I never was. And trying to be him is destroying me. So you run away? Like you ran to the monastery?" "I'm not running away. I'm running toward something. Toward a life I actually choose instead of one I inherited. Toward the woman I love. Toward," he paused. "Toward becoming myself instead of my brother's shadow." Soo-jin spoke then, her voice cutting through the tension. "I think Tae-jun should go." Everyone turned to stare at her. "Minjun built his life here because he chose to," she continued, her voice stronger than Tae-jun had heard in months. Seoul and the company were his passion. But Tae-jun came back out of duty, not desire. He's been trying to fill Min-jun's shoes and they don't fit. They never will. The children need him, Tae-jun's aunt protested. The children need him happy and present, which he can be from Lagos with video calls and regular visits. Soo-jin looked at Tae-jun. What they don't need is an uncle who's slowly suffocating trying to be someone he's not. His father was quiet for a long time, his expression unreadable. Then he turned to Adaeze. And you? You would take him from his family? Accept him following you to Africa? With respect, sir, I'm not taking responsibility for his choice. I'm taking responsibility for my choice. Adeeze's voice was steady. I love your son. I would never ask him to sacrifice his family for me. But I also won't ask him to sacrifice himself. We're trying to find a way that honors both our dreams and both our families. By splitting time between continents? Living half your lives in boxes on airplanes. By building a bridge, Tae-jun said. Between cultures. Between families. Between two people who love each other enough to make it work despite the complications. His father picked up his chopsticks, the signal that he'd heard enough for now. The board meets tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. They'll want to discuss this unconventional arrangement. I'll be there. The rest of the dinner passed in uncomfortable near silence, punctuated only by the children's occasional questions and Mrs. Park's efficient service. After, when extended family had left and only immediate family remained, Tae-jun's father pulled him aside. The board will not approve remote work, he said without preamble. You know this. Then I'll step down. And do what? Become a kept man living on your girlfriend's professor salary? I'll consult. Build the African operations independently. Find my own path. Tae-jun met his father's gaze. I'm 30 years old, father. I've spent 10 years in a monastery and 6 months trying to be Min-jun. Maybe it's time I figured out who Tae-jun actually is. His father studied him for a long moment. Your brother would have hated this decision. My brother isn't here. And if he were, he'd tell you that life is too short to live someone else's dream. Tae-jun's voice caught. He told me that once before I entered the monastery. Said I should only go if it was what I truly wanted, not what would make everyone else happy. And did you truly want it? At the time, yes. But people change. Needs change. And right now, I need Adeeze more than I need this company or this family's approval. You'll have neither if you choose this path. Then I'll have love, and that will have to be enough. The next morning, Tae-jun faced the Kim Corporation board. 12 men, all older, all traditional, all certain they knew what was best for the company Min-jun had built. You want to work from Nigeria, the chairman said, his tone making it clear what he thought of the idea. Managing Korean operations from Africa, while maintaining your relationship with this professor. Yes. That's unacceptable. Why? Because Kim Corporation requires in-person leadership. Because our business partners expect face-to-face meetings. Because the chairman looked around the table for support. Because this is not how things are done. Things change. The world is more connected than ever. Other companies work internationally. Other companies are not Kim Corporation. We have standards, traditions. Your father built this company on personal relationships that cannot be maintained via video call. Tae-jun had prepared for this. Spent the night reviewing options, running numbers, building arguments. What if I stepped down from CEO? Became a senior advisor instead? I'd attend quarterly board meetings in person, consult on major decisions, but day-to-day operations would be handled by someone based in Seoul. Who? There are 3 qualified candidates already on the executive team. Any of them could. This is about more than qualifications, another board member interrupted. This is about the Kim family maintaining control. Your father built this. Your brother expanded it. Now you want to hand it to outsiders. I want to hand it to qualified people who actually want to be here. And you don't want to be here. No, Tae-jun admitted. I don't. I respect what my father and brother built. I'm grateful for the opportunity to maintain it temporarily. But this was never my dream. And pretending otherwise is dishonest to everyone. The chairman leaned forward. So we have 2 options. You remain as CEO based in Seoul, maintaining the company your brother died building. Or you step down completely, and we restructure leadership. There's a third option. There is no third option. This board will not approve remote management. Not for 6 months, not for 6 weeks. You're either here, committed fully, or you're gone. The finality of it hit like a physical blow. No compromise. No middle ground. Choose the company or choose Adeeze. Then I stepped down, Tae-jun said. Shocked silence. You're certain? The chairman asked. Completely. Effective, he calculated quickly. Effective in 3 weeks. That gives you time to announce my departure, transition leadership, maintain market confidence. And if the family wants you to reconsider? They won't change my mind. After the meeting, Tae-jun called Adaeze from his office. It's done, he said. I'm stepping down. 3 weeks, and I'm no longer CEO of Kim Corporation. He heard her sharp intake of breath. Tae-jun. It's what I want. What I choose. No regrets. Are you sure? I'm sure that I want to build a life with you more than I want to maintain a company that was never really mine. I'm sure that I'd rather be terrified in Lagos than comfortable and miserable in Seoul. I'm sure, his voice caught. I'm sure that loving you is the bravest thing I've ever done. And I want to keep being brave. I love you, she whispered. So much. I love you too. Now call the university. Accept the position. We're going to Lagos. That evening, Tae-jun and Adaeze celebrated quietly in his room. She'd accepted the Lagos position. He'd set in motion his departure from Kim Corporation. In 3 weeks, they'd board a plane and start their new life together. I can't believe you did it, Adaeze said, curled against him on his mat. Actually stepped down. Actually chose. Us. I chose us. He kissed her forehead. No regrets. A few. But not about you. Never about you. She tilted her face up. Make love to me. Let me thank you properly for being so brave. His body responded immediately, desire flooding through him, the same hunger that had been building for days. Are you sure? I'm sure. I want to feel close to you. Want to celebrate choosing each other. He kissed her deeply, his hands sliding into her braids, anchoring her to him. She made that sound he loved, half sigh, half moan, and pressed against him. His hands found the hem of her shirt, started to lift it. Knocking on the door. Urgent. Loud. They froze. Uncle Tae-jun? Hannah's voice, high and scared. Uncle, something's wrong with Iyama. Tae-jun was on his feet instantly, Adaeze right behind him. He opened the door to find both children, Ji-woo holding Hannah's hand, both looking terrified. What happened? Iyama was crying. Really hard. And then she went to her room and won't come out. We knocked, but she won't answer. Ji-woo's voice trembled. Is she sick? Is she going to die like Appa? No. She's not going to die. She's just... Tae-jun looked at Adaeze, who nodded. Going through something hard. Ada, can you stay with the kids? I'll check on Soo-jin. He found his sister-in-law in her bedroom, sitting on the floor with her back against Min-jun's side of the bed, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Soo-jin, you're leaving, she gasped out. You're actually leaving. And I defended you at dinner. Told everyone it was the right thing. But Tae-jun, she looked up at him with devastated eyes. What am I going to do without you? You're the only thing holding this family together. The only thing keeping me from completely falling apart. He sat beside her, pulling her close. You're stronger than you think. I'm not. I'm barely functioning. The only reason I get up every morning is because I know you're here. You'll handle the hard things. You'll take care of the kids when I can't. You'll, she sobbed. You'll be here. And now you won't be. I'll still be here. On video every day. Visiting every 3 months. Still present, just differently. It's not the same. No, it's not. But Soo-jin, he pulled back to look at her. You've been relying on me as a crutch. And I've let you because it made me feel needed. But that's not healthy for either of us. You're capable of handling this. Of raising the kids. Of moving forward. You just haven't had to because I've been doing it for you. So you're abandoning me? Teaching me tough love by leaving. I'm trusting you to be strong. Because you are strong. You just forgot. She cried against his shoulder for another 10 minutes. Then, slowly, she pulled herself together. I hate that you're right, she said finally. I hate that I've been using you as a replacement for Min-jun instead of learning to stand on my own. I hate that I let you. That I used your need to avoid facing my own life. She managed a watery smile. We're both kind of a mess, aren't we? Completely. But we're working on it. The kids are going to miss you. Really miss you. I know. And I'll miss them. But they'll be okay. Kids are resilient. I hope so. She stood, helping him up. Go. Adaeze is probably worried. And Tae-jun? Thank you. For tonight. For the past 6 months. For, her voice caught. For being here when I needed you most. Even if you can't stay forever. You're welcome. And Soo-jin? You're going to be okay. I promise. When he returned to his room, he found Adaeze had put the children to bed. In his room, on his mat, both curled together like puppies. They were scared, she whispered. Didn't want to be alone. I thought. It's perfect. Thank you. He kissed her softly. Rain check on earlier? Always. When we're not interrupted by family crises. Exactly. They spent the night in his room. All four of them, the children sleeping between them, a preview of the complicated family dynamics their choice had created. And Tae-jun realized, this was his life now. Complicated. Messy. Full of impossible choices, and interrupted intimate moments and family members who needed him in ways that crossed continents. But it was real. And it was his. And that was enough. The next 3 weeks were a blur of logistics. Tae-jun worked with the board to transition leadership. They settled on Kim Min-seo, one of Min-jun's former executives who'd been with the company for 15 years. Capable. Steady. Everything Tae-jun wasn't. You're sure about this? Min-seo asked during the handover. Stepping down for love? Completely sure. Min-jun would have. Min-jun is dead, Tae-jun said flatly. And I'm not him. I never was. This company deserves someone who actually wants to lead it. You do. I don't. He worked with lawyers on his visa for Nigeria. The company would officially retain him as an international advisor. Enough to justify work permits, maintain some income, keep the family off his back about being completely unemployed. Adeeze dealt with her own logistics. Shipping books and research materials. Coordinating with the Lagos department chair. Arranging temporary housing until they could find something permanent. I'm terrified, she admitted one night as they packed her apartment. What if Lagos has changed? What if the program fails? What if you hate it? Then we adapt. But Ada, he pulled her close. Stop borrowing tomorrow's problems. Today's are challenging enough. The hardest part was the children. Tae-jun sat Ji-woo and Hannah down 1 week before departure, trying to explain in terms they'd understand. I'm moving to Lagos with Adeeze, he said simply. For her work. But I'm coming back to visit every 3 months. And we'll video call every single day. You'll probably get sick of seeing my face. But why do you have to go? Hannah asked, her lip trembling. Can Adeeze stay here? Her job is in Lagos. Just like your Appa's job was here. Adults sometimes have to go where the work is. But Appa didn't leave us. The words were like a knife. You're right. And I'm sorry. This is different from what happened with your Appa. But I know it doesn't feel different. It feels like another person you love leaving. Are you going to die like Appa? Ji-woo asked quietly. No. I'm just going to live in a different place. But Ji-woo. Tae-jun made sure the boy was looking at him. I'm still your uncle. I still love you. That doesn't change because of geography. Then why does it feel like it's changing? Tae-jun had no good answer for that. They made plans. Video call every morning, 6 a.m. Lagos time, 2 p.m. Seoul time, after school for the kids. Tae-jun would visit for 2 weeks every 3 months. The kids would come to Lagos for school holidays if Soo-jin felt comfortable with international travel. It'll be an adventure, Adeeze said, trying to sound upbeat. You'll get to see a completely different country, learn about new cultures, try new foods. I don't want new foods, Hannah said stubbornly. I want Uncle to stay here. There was no easy answer to that. The night before their departure, Tae-jun couldn't sleep. He lay in his room, mostly empty now, his few belongings packed, and thought about everything he was leaving. This house where he'd grown up, the garden where he'd first kissed Adeeze, the children who'd become like his own, the life he'd built, however imperfectly, over the past 6 months. Around 2 a.m., he gave up on sleep and went to the garden. Found Adeeze already there, sitting in the pavilion, looking at the koi pond. Couldn't sleep either? He asked, sitting beside her. Too much in my head. Logistics and fear and excitement all mixed together. Regrets? About us? Never. About all the complications we're dragging you through? Plenty. She leaned against him. Tae-jun, are you really okay with this? Leaving your family? The company? Everything you've known? I'm terrified, but also certain this is right. He wrapped his arm around her. I spent 10 years in a monastery learning to let go of attachments. Maybe this is the real test, letting go of expectations. Of what my life was supposed to be. Of who I was supposed to become. And who are you becoming? Someone who chooses love over duty. Someone who trusts that family can exist across distance. Someone who's brave enough to build a life instead of just maintaining one. He kissed her temple. Someone who deserves you. You already deserved me. I'm still learning to believe that. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the koi move lazily through the water, enjoying the Seoul summer night one last time. Make love to me, Adeeze said softly. Here. In this garden. Before we leave. I want to remember this place. This moment. Us. Someone might see. It's 2 a.m. And the pavilion has enough shadows. And, she stood pulling him up with her. And I need to feel close to you. Need to remember why we're doing this impossible thing. He kissed her then, deep and hungry, weeks of interrupted desire finally finding outlet. His hands slid under her shirt, thin cotton, easy to remove. She wore nothing underneath, having clearly planned this. Calculated seduction? He murmured against her neck. Absolutely. Is it working? Completely. He pushed her shirt up and over her head, taking a moment to just look at her in the moonlight. Beautiful. Choosing him despite every rational reason not to. His mouth found her breast, sucking gently, making her gasp and arch into him. He'd learned what she liked, the exact pressure, the places that made her crazy. 6 weeks of exploration, of learning her body's language. She pulled at his shirt, impatient, and he helped her remove it. Then his pants. Then hers. Until they were naked in the garden, the summer night warm on their skin. Someone could really see, he said again, but without much conviction. Then they'll see 2 people who love each other. Let them look. She pulled him down onto the pavilion floor, on the mat they'd sat on so many times. Touch me. I need your hands on me. He did, sliding his palm down her stomach, between her thighs, finding her already wet. Ready for him. His fingers moved with practiced confidence now, no longer hesitant, knowing exactly what she needed. Inside, she gasped. Please. He slid 2 fingers inside her, his thumb circling her clit the way she'd taught him. Her hips rolled against his hand, chasing the sensation, and he watched her face. The way her eyes closed, her mouth opened, the flush spreading across her brown skin. That's it, he murmured. Show me. Let me see you. She came with a muffled cry, her body clenching around his fingers, and he kept moving, extending her orgasm until she pushed his hand away, oversensitive. Your turn, she said, pushing him onto his back. Ada, you don't have to. I want to. Let me love you. She took him in her hand first, stroking slowly, watching his reactions. Then her mouth, warm and wet and devastating. He'd never experienced anything like this before her, had gone 30 years without knowing this kind of pleasure was possible. I can't, I'm going to, he tried to warn her, but she just hummed around him, taking him deeper, and he came with a choked cry, his hand in her braids, his body shaking. When he could think again, she was kissing her way up his body, smiling. You're incredible, he managed. I know. Now. She positioned herself above him, sinking down onto him in one smooth motion. Make love to me properly. So I remember this garden forever. He gripped her hips, helping her find the rhythm they both loved. Slow at first, building, her hands braced on his chest, his eyes locked on hers. I love you, he said as they moved together. I love you so much. I love you too. My brave monk. My, she gasped as he angled his hips just right. My everything. They came together, her name on his lips, his name on hers, in the garden where they'd first kissed, making memories to carry across continents. After, wrapped in their scattered clothes, holding each other in the moonlight, Tae-jun felt more certain than ever. This was right. She was right. They were right. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. Morning came too quickly. The family gathered at the house for final goodbyes. Tae-jun's father had returned from Switzerland one last time, his expression inscrutable as always. Mrs. Park had prepared a traditional Korean breakfast, though no one had much appetite. The children were teary, but trying to be brave. Soo-jin was holding herself together through sheer will. We need to leave for the airport in 30 minutes, Adaeze said quietly, checking her phone. Flight leaves at 3 p.m. Tae-jun nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. His father pulled him aside, into the study where so much of Tae-jun's life had been shaped. You're certain about this? His father asked without preamble. Yes. I cannot support this decision. You understand that? The board views it as abandonment. The family sees it as betrayal. I know. But, his father pulled out a small wooden box, carved with traditional patterns. I also recognize courage when I see it, even if it's foolish courage. Even if I disagree with it entirely. He handed Tae-jun the box. Inside was a jade pendant on a silk cord. The same one his grandfather had worn, that had passed to his father, that should have gone to Min-jun. Your brother should have had this. But he's gone. And you, his father's voice caught. You're choosing your own path. Perhaps that requires its own kind of strength. Father, don't make me regret this. Stay in contact with the family. Visit as promised. And if this fails, if Lagos doesn't work, you come home. No shame. No judgment. Just come home. Thank you, Tae-jun managed, his eyes burning. His father gripped his shoulder briefly, then turned away, composing himself. Take care of yourself. And that remarkable woman who's somehow convinced you to do this insane thing. Saying goodbye to the children was harder. Hannah clung to him, crying, Don't go. Please don't go. I have to, sweetheart. But I'll be back so soon. And we'll talk every single day. It's not the same. No. But it's what we have. And we'll make it work. Because we love each other. Jiwoo was trying to be brave, his face stoic, but tears streamed down anyway. You promise you'll come back? You're not going to die. I promise. I'm coming back in 3 months. We'll go to the park. Get ice cream. Do all our favorite things. Okay, Jiwoo whispered, throwing his arms around Tae-jun's waist. Sujin walked them to the car, composed but pale. Take care of them, Tae-jun said. And yourself. I will. And you. She hugged Adaeze tightly. You take care of him. He's braver than he thinks, but he's also more fragile. He needs you. I know. I will. And Tae-jun. Sujin turned back. Thank you. For everything. For coming back when we needed you. For being here these 6 months. For loving us even though you're leaving. Her voice broke. It means everything. In the car to the airport, Tae-jun watched Seoul pass by the windows. The streets he knew. The buildings that had framed his entire life. The city that was home. Second thoughts. Adaeze asked quietly, taking his hand. 1,000. But no regrets. Good. Because there's no turning back now. At the airport, checking in for the 14-hour flight to Lagos, Tae-jun felt the weight of his choice settle over him. He was really doing this. Leaving everything behind. Following love across the world. Terrifying. Exhilarating. Exactly right. They boarded the plane, found their seats buckled in. As Seoul disappeared beneath them, Tae-jun squeezed Adeeze's hand. Ready for adventure? She asked. Ready for anything. As long as I'm with you. The plane climbed higher, leaving Korea behind, carrying them toward their new life in Lagos. And Tae-jun, who'd spent 10 years learning to want nothing, felt ready to want everything. Lagos hit them like a physical force. The heat first, stepping off the plane into humid air, so thick it felt like breathing water. Tae-jun had never experienced anything like it. Seoul's summers were hot, but this was different. Oppressive. Inescapable. Then the airport chaos. Murtala Muhammad International was nothing like Incheon's organized efficiency. Crowds pushing. Hawkers shouting. A dozen people trying to grab their luggage, offering help for a price. Adeeze navigated it with practiced ease, switching between English and Yoruba, haggling with drivers, protecting their bags. Tae-jun just followed, overwhelmed and fascinated in equal measure. The drive into the city was worse. Traffic that made Seoul rush hour look orderly. Aggressive drivers. No apparent rules. Heat made more intense by lack of air conditioning in their taxi. Tae-jun gripped the door handle as they wove through gridlock, horns blaring constantly. Welcome to Lagos, Adeeze said, but her smile was strained. It's always like this. You get used to it. Tae-jun wasn't sure he believed her. Adeeze's family was waiting at her apartment in Ikeja, a small furnished rental near the university. Her mother immediately pulled Tae-jun into a hug. Welcome, welcome. You're too thin. We'll fix that. Come inside, we have food. The next hours were another blur. Meeting extended family. Eating Nigerian food he didn't recognize. Answering questions about Korea, about his family, about why he'd left everything to come here. Everyone was warm. Friendly. But Tae-jun felt the weight of being spectacle. The tall Korean man in Lagos, following his girlfriend's career, clearly out of his element. That night, finally alone in the apartment, Tae-jun and Adeeze collapsed on the bed. A mattress that was too soft, in a room that was too hot, in a city that was too loud. I know it's overwhelming, Adeeze said quietly. The first few days are always the hardest. I can handle overwhelming. Can you? Because Tae-jun, this isn't temporary tourism. This is life here. The heat doesn't stop. The traffic doesn't improve. The power goes out regularly. The internet is unreliable. This is our reality for the next 6 months minimum. I know. Do you? Because right now you look shell-shocked. I am shell-shocked. But I'm also here. With you. Where I chose to be. She pulled him close, and he buried his face in her neck, breathing in her familiar scent amid all the unfamiliar chaos. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. The next morning, 6 a.m. Lagos time, 2 p.m. Seoul, Tae-jun made his first video call home. Sujin answered, the children visible over her shoulder. Uncle, Hannah shouted, pushing to the front. You're so far away. I am. But I can still see you. Can you see me? Yes. But the picture is fuzzy. The internet connection in the apartment was weak, the video pixelated and laggy. Tae-jun's carefully planned daily connection felt suddenly inadequate. This wasn't the same as being there. Not even close. How was school? He asked Jiwoo. Okay. I got a sticker for my math work. That's wonderful. Can you show me? Jiwoo held up a paper to the camera, but the image was too blurry to see details. They talked for 15 minutes, him asking about their day, them asking about Lagos, everyone trying to pretend this was normal. When the call ended, Tae-jun felt the distance like a physical ache. That was good, Adaeze said, trying to sound encouraging. They're adjusting. Are they? Because Hannah looked like she'd been crying. She probably had been. This is hard for them. But Tae-jun, kids are resilient. They'll adapt. He wanted to believe her. But watching them through a pixelated screen, unable to hug them or read them stories or be physically present, it felt like failing them. Day 3 in Lagos, Tae-jun received an email from Kim Min-seo. Subject, urgent board crisis. The email was terse. The board had discovered irregularities in some of Min-jun's final deals. Nothing illegal, but enough to raise questions. Investors were nervous. Stock price was dropping. They needed Tae-jun to return to Seoul immediately to address concerns, provide continuity, reassure stakeholders. You need to be here, Min-seo said on the phone call that followed. I'm capable, but your family. You're a Kim. Only you can stabilize this. I'm in Lagos. I've stepped down. Find another way. There is no other way. Come back to Seoul for 2 weeks. Handle this. Then you can return to Lagos. 2 weeks becomes 2 months becomes permanent. I know how this works. Tae-jun, if you don't come back, Kim Corporation could be seriously damaged. Is your relationship worth destroying what your brother built? The question hung like poison. Tae-jun told Adaeze that evening, watching her face carefully. What are you going to do? She asked. Stay here. Like I promised. But if the company's really in trouble, then they'll figure it out. I can consult remotely. Provide guidance. But I'm not flying back to Seoul 3 days after leaving. That sets a precedent I can't maintain. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I appreciate that. But Tae-jun, if you need to go, I'll understand. I never wanted to be the reason You're not the reason. I am. I chose this. And I'm not backing down at the first challenge. But the weight of it sat heavy on his chest. Day 5, Adaeze received an email from her department chair. Budget cuts were worse than anticipated. The African art program's funding had been slashed. Instead of 3 years guaranteed, they had 1 year. Maybe 2 if they could secure additional grants. Her position was technically still permanent, but she'd have to significantly reduce the program's scope. So I brought you here for a program that might not exist in a year, she said, staring at her laptop. You gave up everything, and it might be for nothing. It's not for nothing. It's for us. But if the program fails, if I can't even deliver on the one thing that justified this move, then we figure out what's next. But Ada, you can't predict the future. You can only work with what you have now. She wanted to believe him, but the pressure was mounting. Day 7, Sujin called at 3 a.m. Lagos time. Tae-jun answered groggily, saw her pale face on the screen, and was instantly awake. What's wrong? Your father. Tae-jun, he had a heart attack. He's in the hospital. They're saying, her voice broke. They're saying it's serious. You need to come home. The world tilted. How serious? Serious enough that they're keeping him in ICU. Serious enough that, she couldn't finish. Adaeze was awake now, listening. She squeezed his hand. I'll get the first flight, Tae-jun said. Tell him I'm coming. After hanging up, he just sat there processing. His father. Heart attack. Serious. Book the flight, Adaeze said immediately. I'll come with you. You can't. The semester starts in 2 days. Your students can wait. This is your father. And you're establishing a new program that's already on shaky ground. You can't miss the first week. He stood, already searching for flights. I'll go alone. Handle this. Come back as soon as I can. Tae-jun, please. I need to know you're here. Building our life. Not dropping everything every time my family has a crisis. She looked like she wanted to argue but nodded instead. The fastest flight left in 8 hours. Lagos to Seoul with 1 connection. 22 hours of travel. As Tae-jun threw clothes into a bag, his phone buzzed with messages. The children, asking when he'd be back. Min-seo, with another company crisis. His aunt with hospital updates. This was a mistake, he said suddenly, stopping mid-pack. Coming here. Leaving them. I'm failing everyone by trying to be in two places. No. You're doing your best in an impossible situation. Adaeze wrapped her arms around him from behind. Go. Be with your father. Handle the crisis. Come back when you can. We'll figure it out. And if this keeps happening, crisis after crisis pulling me back to Seoul, then we deal with it. One crisis at a time. Tae-jun was packing his toiletries when Adaeze emerged from the bathroom, her face pale. Ada, what's wrong? She held up a pregnancy test. 2 clear lines. I'm pregnant. The world stopped. What? Pregnant. I've been feeling weird for days, nauseous, tired, and I thought it was just stress and Lagos adjustment, but she looked at the test again as if it might change. I'm pregnant. Tae-jun sat heavily on the bed, his mind refusing to process. How? We've been careful. Not that careful. And birth control isn't 100%. She sat beside him. I know the timing is terrible. You're leaving for Seoul. I'm starting a new job. The program is unstable. We're not even married. This is a baby, he finished, wonder breaking through the shock. We're going to have a baby. Tae-jun, this is the worst possible timing. Or the best. He put his hand on her still flat stomach. A reason to make all of this work. A reason to build our bridge stronger. He stopped, overwhelmed. A baby. Our baby. She started crying. I don't know if I can do this. A new program, a new city, morning sickness, and you're leaving. I'm coming back. As soon as my father is stable. I'm coming back. He pulled her close. We're doing this together. All of it. Lagos, the baby, the complications. Together. I'm terrified. So am I. But we'll figure it out. As Tae-jun finished packing, his phone rang. Unknown Korean number. Hello. Tae-jun. Master Yoon's voice, but strained. Worried. I need to speak with you urgently. About your ordination. Master, I left the monastery 6 months ago. The ordination was never formally dissolved. There's a process, Tae-jun, forms that needed to be filed. Rituals that needed to be performed. You left during an emergency, and in the chaos I failed to complete the paperwork. So technically, according to temple records, you're still a monk. Still bound by your vows. And he paused. There's been a complaint filed. About your relationship. Your living situation. Your departure from the monastery without proper protocol. A complaint from who? Another monk. Someone who believes you're bringing dishonor to Byupjusa. They're demanding a formal hearing. If you don't address this, if you don't return to complete the dissolution process, you could be... Another pause. You could be formally declared in violation of your vows. Which carries implications for your family, the temple's reputation, your father's standing in the community. Tae-jun closed his eyes. So I need to come back. For the hearing, yes. To formally end your monastic status. I'm sorry, Tae-jun. This is my fault. I should have handled it properly when you left. When is the hearing? 2 weeks from now. Can you attend? I'm already coming to Seoul. My father had a heart attack. I heard. I'm sorry. But Tae-jun, this hearing will determine whether your departure is recognized as legitimate or as abandonment of vows. It matters for your future. For your ability to marry legally. He sighed. For everything. After hanging up, Tae-jun just stood there, the weight of everything crushing down. Company crisis. Father's heart attack. Program funding cuts. Pregnancy. And now a monastery hearing that could invalidate his entire new life. What's wrong? Adaeze asked, seeing his face. He told her. Watched her expression shift from concern to disbelief to anger. So you might still be technically a monk. And we're having a baby. And my pregnancy could be seen as... She couldn't finish. As violation of celibacy vows. Yes. This is insane. You left the monastery. You've been gone 6 months. But I didn't follow proper procedure. And now someone's using that against me. Who would file a complaint? I don't know. But I need to attend the hearing. Clear this up. Make sure, he stopped. Make sure our baby isn't born while I'm technically still under monastic vows. Make sure we can actually get married legally. She sat down slowly, processing. So you're going to Seoul for your father. And the company crisis. And now a monastery hearing. How long will you be gone? I don't know. At least 2 weeks. Maybe more. 2 weeks. And I'm here. Pregnant. Starting a new job in a city you've been in for 1 week. Building a life in an apartment we haven't finished unpacking. Ada. I can't do this, she whispered. I thought I could. Thought we could make long-distance work. Thought complications were manageable. But this? All of it at once? This is too much. We'll figure it out. How? You'll be in Seoul for weeks handling multiple crises. I'll be here, pregnant and alone, trying to launch a program with no funding. We've been in Lagos 7 days, and everything is already falling apart. So what are you saying? That we give up? That this was a mistake? I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying maybe we moved too fast. Maybe love isn't enough. Maybe. She stopped, tears streaming. Maybe we were foolish to think we could make this work. Tae-jun's flight was in 3 hours. He had to leave for the airport in 30 minutes. They sat in the apartment, the silence heavy between them, everything said and unsaid hanging in the air. His phone buzzed. Message from Soo-jin. He read it. Read it again. Felt his stomach drop. What? Adaeze asked. My father. He's asking for me. But he also. Tae-jun showed her the message. He's asking if I'm sure about Lagos. If I want to correct my mistake and stay in Seoul. He's using his heart attack as leverage to get me to give up on this. Oh God. And the company crisis? Minnesio just admitted it's not as bad as they made it sound. They exaggerated to get me to come back. To prove I'd choose the company over you. They're testing you. They're manipulating me. And it's working because I'm going back. I'm leaving you here, pregnant, after 1 week in Lagos. They win. Adaeze stood up, pacing. So don't go. Stay here. Let them handle their own crises. I can't. My father genuinely had a heart attack, even if he's using it to manipulate me. And the monastery hearing is real. I have to. Her phone rang. She answered, her expression shifting to confusion. Then shock. What do you mean he's here? In Lagos. She listened. Her face went pale. I'll call you back. Who was here? My department chair. Someone showed up at the university today asking about me. About my position. She swallowed. About my relationship with my former professor in graduate school. Dr. Adebayo. Who's Dr. Adebayo? My graduate advisor. The one who helped me get this job. Who wrote my recommendation letters. Who? She stopped. Who I thought was mentoring me professionally. But there were times when things felt uncomfortable. When he'd make comments about my body, my appearance. When he'd suggest private meetings that didn't feel entirely professional. Did he? No. Nothing happened. But I always felt like he thought I owed him. For the letters. The recommendations. The opportunities. She looked at Tae-jun. And now he's here. In Lagos. Asking about me. Right when I'm starting this position he helped me get. That's not coincidence. No. It's not. He wants something. And I'm terrified of what it is. Tae-jun's phone alarm went off. Time to leave for the airport. They stared at each other. Company crisis. Father's heart attack and manipulation. Monastery hearing. Pregnancy. Funding cuts. And now a potentially predatory mentor, showing up in Lagos right when Adaeze was vulnerable. I don't know what to do, Tae-jun admitted. Stay and help you deal with this professor? Go and handle everything in Seoul? There's no right answer. Then we choose together. Right now. What matters most? They looked at each other, two people who'd been so certain 7 days ago, now drowning in complications neither had anticipated. And neither of them had an answer. Family, I need you to breathe right now. Because that's not an ending. That's an avalanche. Let's count. 1. Company crisis calling him back to Seoul. 2. Father's heart attack, real plus manipulation. 3. Program funding slashed to 1 year. 4. Pregnancy, terrible timing. 5. Monastery ordination never finalized. He's technically still a monk. 6. Predatory professor from her past showing up in Lagos. 7. 1 week in Lagos and everything is falling apart. 8. They're both questioning if this was a massive mistake. This isn't will they make it. This is how will they survive this. Comment stay, if you think he should stay in Lagos with Adaeze. Comment go, if you think he should go to Seoul for his father. Comment both, if you have no idea how to solve this. Because part 4? Part 4 is going to be about whether love really is enough when everything goes wrong at once. How to build a bridge when the ground keeps shifting. What happens when a baby is coming and nothing is stable. Whether you can truly choose someone when your past won't let you go. And if 2 people can survive when tested beyond anything they imagined. Subscribe if you're devastated. Share if you need other people to suffer with you. Like if you're desperate for part 4. This is Afro-K Dark Diaries TV. This is The Monk's Vow Part 3. And family, real love isn't about easy choices. It's about impossible choices. Made together. even when you don't know if you'll survive them. Part 4 coming soon. Don't miss it.